by the behavior of almost all the contractors in the region to move to site whenever a top-level government team is paying a working visit to the region and leave site immediately after the visit.
To the Ashanti region, where the regional minister, Mr. Simon Osei-Mensah, has appealed for an extension of the One Village, One Dam initiative to the southern parts of the region, where crop production is seriously being hampered by recent unpredictable rainfall patterns. Speaking at a joint sector performance review meeting of the Regional Directorate of Agriculture at Fomisa in the Ejisi municipality, Mr. Osei-Mensah said was emphatic that the provision of the dam will change the tradition of relying on unreliable rainfall pattern, a situation that will ensure food security.
The event was the second in a series of the annual Joint Sector Performance Review of the Ashanti Regional Directorate of Agriculture. In attendance were officials of the Crops Research Institute, district directors of agriculture, the Regional Directorate of Agriculture, development partners, farmers and cooperatives. Reviewing the performance of the regional agricultural production for the year 2020, the head of monitoring and evaluation at the Regional Agricultural Directorate, Mr. Benjamin Ninoni, noted that even though the region performed very well despite the outbreak of COVID-19, much still needs to be done to increase food production in the ensuing years. The Ashanti Regional Directorate of Agriculture, Reverend John Menu, had a word for government if the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative must sustain its gains.
Several spots which used to serve as habitats for weeds are now fertile grounds for crops. And typical among these are spots behind our office at Cadbury Hall, and also the spot behind Regional Crops Office at Cadbury Hall. And again, opposite the Regional Crops Office, there's another land there which also used to grow wheat, but now serving as a place for pineapple production.
The country director of Self-Help, a non-governmental organization, Mr. Benjamin Kusi, described the Planting for Food and Jobs as one of the best thought-through state interventions in the agriculture sector in recent years. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Simon Osei-Mensah, appealed to the President to consider including the Edura-Seche Dumase, Mampong and Akumadan areas, which are known major food-producing areas in the One Village, One Dam.
When farmers were planting and expected the rain failed us. But we found it necessary to make an appeal to the President and the Minister of Agriculture to include the northern part of Ashanti region, particularly the areas of Edura-Seche Dumase, Mampong, Sechra Prince, which are within the middle belt of this country, be included in the One Village, One Dam, because these areas may have serious water problems.
Back in Accra, Ghana is fast becoming a hub for arms bargain, where foreigners and some Ghanaian nationals have turned the act into business, using children as gimmick. The culprits include Chadian parents who parade their children at traffic intersections or major pedestrian walkways and on footbridges. These child beggars usually tag at pedestrians, especially those who look financially above average. Some of the pedestrians are compelled to give them money to avoid embarrassment. Let's stay a while on this story to understand the legality of what they are doing and what authorities can do to help address the situation which has become rampant on our highways. And we've been joined by Dr. Vincent Ejali-Mensah, a social analyst, to help us understand some of these concerns that people have been raising. Dr. Ejali-Mensah, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much for your time and the work you're doing.
Doc, arms begging is illegal in this country. It has been ongoing for a while. Authorities have attempted to make sure that it's not seen on our highways, but it seems we are not making any headway in the fight against the practice. What are we missing?
Thank you so much, and I am happy that GVC has decided to take up this issue. The issue has so many dimensions. First, for an adult, arms begging is outlawed, and we know that, and we can take adults off the street. The phenomenon that you are seeing now is children on the street who are being used by adults who are sitting somewhere and watching them beg. And it's becoming so serious on our street, particularly when you drive through any street on Accra. You have your car stopped at a traffic intersection, you regret stopping there. They come knocking your cars and all that. What we are missing, first, we need to understand that this means that countries and societies have failed in our bid to protect children. The Children's Act that we have in Ghana, the International Convention on the Rights of the Child, talks about protecting the best interests of children. So away from law is an epitome of how society has failed children. Now the question is, who are these children on the street? These are children that you may have several reasons explaining. One, that they are children with difficult childhoods. Either their parents have passed away, or their parents are unable to fend for them, and the other people have taken them. We know that there are people importing some of these children from Mali and Niger into Ghana, and it has implications for the security of this country. But because we have free movement of people, what we need to do as a country is to check if somebody is moving with a child to cross the border. If you go to the border between South Africa and Zimbabwe, that's what they do. You need to provide documentation to show that this is your child. If you don't have documentation to show that you are legally migrating this child, they won't allow you to move with the child. But again, with the porous border that we have, you see that there is a problem. So these children come into the country, and people use them as economic tools and put them on the streets, and it exposes the children to a lot of hazards, and they become so vulnerable to almost every social evil that you can imagine. And the question then is, what are the social protection mechanisms that we have for children doing about the situation? Where is the Department of Children? Where is the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection? What programs do they have to address this condition? That is the discussion we should be having. So it's an issue with a multifaceted dimension, and we need to clearly understand that. Otherwise, if you go onto the street and even bundle these children, you bundle them to where? That's the question. And so it's difficult, and we need to clearly get policymakers and policy implementers down to the streets. I think there was a news documentary on it some time ago where it was proven that some of them are being housed in some houses. We need to visit those houses, see the dynamics of the situation, and respond to those dynamics. Otherwise, a lack of proper understanding of it is such that the problem will be difficult to solve, because you can't go arresting children in the streets.
Doc, would it be safe to say that authorities manning our frontiers have not helped in minimizing the entry of these people? Because, of course, you need to know the purpose of entry before you allow any foreign national into the country.
Exactly part of the point that those at the ports of entry have a responsibility to ensure, as I gave the example, ensure that if somebody is moving with a child, there is documentation to prove that the person legitimately and legally can transport this child. And like you said, what is the purpose of transporting the child from one place to the other? But as I said also, the porous nature of our borders meant that anybody could enter at any time through certain places. That will mean that us as citizens have also failed, because there are citizens in Ghana who know that this practice is happening. They know how it happens, and they are not living up to their responsibility of informing relevant authorities that this is happening so it can be stopped. Now, there is the question of if it is reported, do the authorities take action? And what kind of action do they take? These are the dynamics involved that we need to, and it also speaks to cross-border collaboration. where the government of Ghana needs to be speaking to the government of Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Togo, to ensure that these problems do not happen. So yes, there is a problem with the security at the border, the border protection agencies, the immigration service. There are issues there, but there is a broader issue of people who rent homes where these children come to stay. There is a broader issue of community members who are aware of this phenomenon and don't raise alarm. And there is the issue of when the alarm is raised, what do the law enforcement officials do with the alarm that has been raised? Otherwise, people will not raise the alarm, because if I raise the alarm and you do nothing about it, it may put me at risk. So I will rather keep quiet.
Doc, often when this issue come up, people have been raising the diplomatic consequences in addressing the challenge. And you talked about engaging with authorities in Burkina Faso and Niger to deal with this issue. Looking at the ECOWAS protocol, which people have been falling on when we try to address this issue, how should we go about it in terms of using the diplomatic approach?
Yeah, the protocol does provide for free movement of people. But you see, if ECOWAS the ECOWAS region were just open like that, there wouldn't have been any need to call a country Ghana, Togo, Burkina Faso, and all that. That's one. The other thing is that we should know that there are other international conventions and treaties that have been signed. One, the trafficking of children is something that is not allowed. And the use of children for labor that exposes them to hazards is not allowed. So if someone is going to bring children from Niger or from Mali or Burkina Faso or wherever to just come and put a child on the street to be begging, cars can fail brake, cars can get off the road, anything can happen. These children are exposed to great danger. They are dealing with adults in the street. In fact, the homes where they are kept, they have challenges there. Sometimes they themselves even beating each other on the street mercilessly. So there are, aside from the protocol on free movement of people, there are other protocols that provide for the regulation of how people move. That's why myself and you are moving from Ghana to Togo. At least somebody needs to identify us that we are even Ghanaians before we enter Togo. So yes, there are rules, but the border authorities will do the society a lot of good when they understand that children, they have responsibility for the protection of children, and that children should not be moving. If it's happening like that, then it's easy for people to take our children anywhere and take out of this country to other countries and do anything to them. So yes, there is that free movement of people, but the state also has responsibility.
Doc, very finally, in 30 seconds, what will be the security implications of this issue or this development if it continued to happen without authorities nibbling it in the bud?
First, we need to know that as the children are entering without regulation, so will we allow criminals to also enter without regulation. The second thing is that you need to know that these children will be growing up, and as they stay on the street, they are not in school, and they are only used to begging. When they grow into adulthood, what work are they going to do? These are the people who will grow up frustrated, angry with society, that nobody has protected them, and they will take up arms and be against all of us and be chasing us as thieves and armed robbers on the streets. These are children who are being exposed to peer influence, negative influence. These are children who have very difficult life growing up, and when they grow up, they will be angry with all of us. So I just think that it's important that state authorities will take immediate steps to address the situation. The Department of Social Welfare, the Department of Children, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, this is their work cut out for them. They need to move and show some promise that they can work in the interest of children.
Grateful you could speak with us, Dr. Ejali Mensah. Dr. Ejali Mensah is a social analyst and a lecturer and has been sharing his view on how we can deal with issues of child begging, which is becoming rampant in the streets. Now, when the people of Jumapo in the new Jobe North municipality of the Eastern region observed National Children's Day, improving on the general welfare and development of children was stressed. It was also to strongly promote the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Child. Resource persons emphasized the need to strengthen community-based structures and advocates for the integration and linkage of programs at the community level to protect all children. They also spoke about the role of community-based structures in policy implementation and achievements. The director at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Madam Florence Ayisi-Kote, assured of improving on programs including free senior high school, LEAP, school feeding program to advance the rights of the child. The Eastern Regional Minister said a champion advised parents to check their responsibility towards the upbringing of their children. There was a citation of honor for the Jumapo Hine, Nana Kwame Opon, for his role in child protection advocacy. Now, it is to reduce the drudgery in agriculture and domestic chores of vulnerable women in the Nakpanduri, in the Bunkrugu Nakpanduri district of the Northeast region. That's a 71-year-old American woman, Dennis Klendor, is breeding healthy donkeys to serve as donkey carts for them. Dennis says even though motorkins seem to replace the importance of donkey carts, there are still women who cannot afford them. Her project is therefore targeting such vulnerable women to support. Peggy Amadonko reports.
There are over 185 breeds of donkeys in the world today, and nearly 41 million donkeys are used. These beasts of burden are all over the world and are in a variety of shapes, sizes, and colors. Donkeys can survive in hot climates such as tropical dry lands and the savannas. They have very good draft power, disease resistance, and stress-bearing capabilities. In Ghana, donkeys are more in use in the northeastern parts, stretching from some districts in the eastern corner of northern region to the entire upper east region and some areas of upper west and the northeast regions. Donkeys provide cheap and easily accessible means of transport for goods in the rural areas. They are predominantly used to cart agricultural produce from farms to homes and to market centers and farm inputs to farms. Farmers who cannot afford the services of mechanical power for their farm operations rely heavily on donkeys.
We don't have enough money to buy donkey or cows. Some use bullocks to carry their quintal, and we don't have them. If you don't have them, you may to contact with those who have them, and then you may start spending money for them before they carry it to the home. And then using the bicycle is very difficult because the bicycle cannot carry a lot.
The Bumprugu Nakpanduri district experiences a single rainfall pattern, making donkey keeping an important activity to farmers in the districts since they are a cheap means of transport. They are used for supplying water to households is the most important role, whereas carting of goods to markets and farm implements to and from farms the second, with income generation as the least rule. Donkeys roam and graze freely during the dry season but are roped during the rainy season to graze. It is uncommon to come across carts attached to these donkeys driven around by both the young and old. At Nakpanduri, a 71-year-old American woman, Denise Klendor, is breeding healthy donkeys for women and the handicapped to help them eke out a living. Farming is the main economic activity for majority of women in Ghana's rural north, yet most of them lack modern agricultural implements to improve upon their produce. The donkeys therefore serve as the closest form of equipment for plowing and transporting of their farm produce.
everything you would do where carrying things on your head, now you can just put it in the donkey cart. So especially women who used to fetch firewood and carry, you know, big loads of firewood on their head, if they have donkey cart, they can carry 3 or 4 times as much at one time. And then also the same thing at harvest time, people used to spend so much time bringing in the harvest, just carrying the harvest on their heads, you know. If you feed the donkey, that's all you need. You don't have to go out and hire a motor king to go bring your harvest, or you don't have to buy fuel for it or engine oil or buy spare parts.
Denise's donkey breeding project has not been easy.
The difficult thing is the other people let their donkeys roam. And if your donkey is tied, he's at a disadvantage if a strong male donkey comes who isn't tied. So we try to keep our ears open, which, you know, sometimes you don't hear them.
The donkey or ass is a domestic member of the horse family which has been used as a working animal for over 4,000 years. Its lifespan is between 25 and 30 years with a gestation period of between 11 and 14 months. Donkeys can do a maximum of about 24 kilometers per hour. They appear in ancient paintings as important working animals, carrying heavy loads and providing milk and meat. They were also comfortable to ride and they could carry people for long distances. This allowed groups of people to move around more freely and spread throughout Africa, Asia and Europe. Unlike oxen, donkeys could survive on smaller amounts of food, less water, and were faster than traveling on foot. Today, the introduction of mechanical means of transport and power in donkey-rearing communities is gradually replacing donkeys in those areas. Yet, farmers, especially women, who cannot afford the services of mechanical power for their farm operations, still rely heavily on donkeys.
The University of Cape Coast, UCC, has been ranked among global universities for their research influence. It has also been ranked the #1 university in Ghana, the top university in West Africa, and on the top 5 university list in Africa. The announcement was made in the 2022 Times Higher Education Annual Rankings. Universities that published high-impact research on COVID-19 have soared up the league table, with China reaping the most rewards. The 2022 World University Rankings include more than 1,600 universities across 99 countries and territories, making them the largest and most diverse university rankings to date. The Directorate of Research, Innovation and Consultancy at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Atuama, joins us on the phone for some discussion on this achievement. Doc, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Doc, I think congratulations are in order for this achievement. No university in Ghana has ever achieved this position since the Times Higher Education Annual Rankings commenced more than 2 decades or nearly 2 decades ago. How does the entire university feel about this triumph?
Thank you very much, and greetings to your listeners and viewers. This is a watershed for us as a university because we know that we have put in maximum effort over the last few years to ensure that we are delivering on our mandate. And in fact, it has taken great determination, fortitude to be able to come this far. There were a number of hurdles along the line, but now we are ranked and we are very happy because this particular milestone is not a local milestone or a national milestone. It goes beyond the nation to encompass supranational milestone, that is regional level and then global level.
Doc, UCC ranked #1 out of the 138 new entrant universities in the World University Rankings. What were the performance indicators?
Okay, so we are ranked as part of the entire Times Higher Education ranking. It's not just the new entrant ranking. So our ranking is part of the 1,662 universities that were considered. But then out of the 1,662 universities that were considered, 138 made their debut this year, and UCC is part of that cohort. And among that cohort, UCC is the highest ranked university.
That's quite an achievement that we all have to join UCC to celebrate. But universities that publish high impact research on COVID-19 soared up the league, and we saw China reaping the most rewards. Tell us more about UCC's research on COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we have to look at the outcome of this ranking in several ways. For China, it may be because of COVID-19, but you know that this ranking is not based on a yearly publication cycle. It's a 5-year duration. So we have come this far over the past 5 years. The aggregate of our research that we have done is what has culminated in this achievement. In the context of UCC, even though we have contributed immensely to COVID-19, I'm not sure whether we can isolate our performance to COVID-19. We have to look beyond COVID-19 to look at what we started doing prior to COVID-19. I must say that since 2016, we started redirecting colleagues to focus on indexes that are prestigious, indexes that are credible, particularly Servius Scopus database. And we have also encouraged our colleagues to forge partnerships that look at issues that transcend disciplines and boundaries. We have moved from disciplinary research through to disciplinary research to transdisciplinary research. So we are forging those kind of partnerships and ensuring that the issues that our researchers are looking at pass across disciplines and go above or beyond geographical boundaries. So these are issues that we are considering. So we can say that our performance is not due to COVID-19, or it may be partly due to COVID-19. But most importantly, I believe that we can attribute it to the global studies that most of our colleagues, or a number of our colleagues have been working. Typically, the global burden of disease studies that we've been involved in the past 4 or 5 years.
Of course, Doc, this is a higher height that the university has achieved. How does the institution intends to capitalize on this to record more gains?
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe this is a very, very important question. And as a university, we are looking at issues of sustainability. How do we ensure that we leverage on what we have done and then look at our existing partnerships and expand the nature and scope of such partnerships? We believe that those that are coordinating our research and those that are partnering with us as a university are interested in this answer. Now, it gives indication that what we are doing is credible. It gives indication that it's credible. It gives indication that when they benchmark us against other universities, when they benchmark our performance against what other nations are doing and what other research fields are doing, they know that what we are doing is significant. This means that the funders will be able to give us resources to expand the kind of research that we are doing, and this will also inure to the benefit not only of the University of Cape Coast, but other sectors of the economy.
Very finally, on a license,
UCC has contributed to high-end research in terms of climate change and other research, health sciences, issues about food fraud, food security. We are leaders in that domain, and I believe that we can leverage on the benefit that we accrue to us from this ranking and forge new partnerships in this particular domain. Students will be interested in coming to University of Cape Coast because they know that this is a university that has a track record of excellent academic work over the past 60 years. I believe that it is not only just the students that will be interested, parents will also be making decisions, and they will look at all of these metrics or indicators when they begin to choose the universities that their wards would need to attend. We have a research innovation ecosystem. That means that we are partnering with other academic institutions. We are partnering with NGOs, civil society groups. We are partnering with the public sector, the private sector. All of these players, together with policy, constitute the research innovation ecosystem of the University of Cape Coast. And I believe that all of us stand to gain from the kind of research that we are doing and the benefits that is accruing to us.
Look, very finally, before you take leave of us, have you shared this glory with the University of Ghana and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology? Have you notified them of what UCC has achieved?
Thank you very much. We don't need to notify them. They've heard it. We made the waves. Because typically for this prestigious ranking, you mount the ladder from the base. But we have made a triumphant entry to this Times Higher Education World University Rankings. That means that everybody in this country, or the players in tertiary education, these players, have taken note of the strides that UCC has made. So we don't need to inform them. They've started calling us already. That presupposes that they are aware of what we are doing. And of course, we are not just competitors, we are also collaborators. There are a number of projects that we work together on to ensure that we are delivering our mandate on research, innovation, extension services, and societal impact.
Doc, glad you could join us.
It might interest you to know that we have colleagues in North America and Asia who have even started calling us. So what we have done is unique and unprecedented. And I don't think that the waves we are making is national waves, but it transcends national borders.
Professor Ama was from the Directorate of Research, Innovation and Consultancy, University of Cape Coast. That was a live interview with him sharing the glory and telling us how the university feels about this achievement. Well, the UCC #1 in Ghana, #1 in West Africa, #1 in Africa. The likes of KNUST and Legon. We are waiting to see what you can also do for this country. Let's go for a break. We'll be right back with business.